I had a buddy that I'm helping with some trading stuff. Just he's brand new getting into it. Um, has never touched it before. Nobody in his family, nobody around him. Kind of the same story a lot of us when we first started. And so super gung ho at the beginning, right? I was like, all right, read these 3 books, and then when you're done with that, then get back to me because I know you got a little investment in it. You're willing to put some time and effort. So he did that. He knocked that out quick, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna swing by. We'll get you set up on TradingView. I'll show you some paper trading strategies. We'll get going. That was a few weeks ago. So he hits me up yesterday and he goes, man, is there anybody in Level Up that will trade for me and take a percentage? And I was like, what happened, man? He was like, this is difficult. And I said, yes, sir, it is, which is why such a small percentage of people in the world do this. And I said, but he just had a kid too, 2 months ago. And so I told him, I said, but if you stick with this, even if at 6 months you still don't know if you want to continue, I said, you're further along than most people that you ever start. And I said, once you get 6 months in, I want you to think of your little boy and realize that these are tools that you pass down to him. These are not tools that end with you. And so a lot of the stuff that we do here at Level Up is to make sure that we all have tools to pass down. Because just speaking for myself, I didn't have any of this information throughout my childhood. I didn't learn this till I got to college, and most of this I didn't learn in college either. Um, Nobody in my family does any of this kind of stuff. Nobody in my circle did any of this kind of stuff. So it was a culture shock for me to learn a lot of this info. But now that I know it, I'm right there with Chris and Martin. It's almost a duty to give that information to as many people as you can so you can help those people get out of the situations just like you did. So I wanted to give that little excerpts to make sure that we have the right perspective going through this class. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is not easy to enact at all. It will take sacrifice. It's going to take discipline. You're going to get up in the morning and hate doing whatever you're doing because you just want to go back to sleep. You're burnt out from the day before. But this is really where you separate yourself from the people who are going to be doing the same thing in 5 years. Um, there's that saying that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. That goes for finances, that goes for career, that goes for family. You can't do the same things that have gotten you where you are and expect them to be different in 5 years. So some of the things that we wanted to point out and talk about for 2024. So this is just introductory, foundational level stuff. This is not going to be blow your mind. Oh my God, I've never heard any of this. But it's foundational to make sure that your year starts and goes well. So some of the things, if you have not already done these are things that you need to do first. Um, Debt relief, whether that's paying off debt, there's a few different strategies you can do that. All these are detailed in our personal finance sections in the Discord. You can do that by balance transfers, debt consolidation, getting a personal loan and consolidating all of the high interest debt into one loan and then paying it off that way. You can do the snowball and avalanche strategies. Not going to get into what each of those are, but you can look those up, write that down, and look up those couple strategies. If you have an overwhelming amount of debt, you can't invest. It's just plain and simple. You have to start with debt, because that debt can have disastrous effects if it just lingers and stays and continues to build. And making good investment strategies does not cure bad spending habits. So you want to make sure all of this is in line. Everything, your building blocks are all building blocks, and you start from the bottom, and that way you don't have a lopsided house. So make sure your debt is good. And then secondly, we want to talk about getting your credit right, having an emergency fund for 6 months. For a lot of people, that's a big number. So if you have an emergency fund and maybe you're at 1 month now, make it your goal to get to that second month and then third month. Don't look at it as just one huge lump sum that you have to get in all at one time. Build towards that, but that is extremely critical. And then your credit, as Chris has talked about in a lot of the classes that we had last year, credit is a key to business and personal funding. And so if you have issues on your credit, whether it was collections, medical stuff, um, just bad debt, you have way too many store credit cards, whatever that is, get that taken care of. because you'll, for one, have much less stress without all that debt hanging over your head. But two, it'll allow you to use other people's money, aka OPM, when you're making investments, whether that's real estate, whether you're buying 50 vending machines to have 50 50 different locations, whatever your strategy is, using OPM is key, and that is how you do it. So these couple of things are what you want to focus on if you have not already. Now, if you've gotten those knocked out, you can invest in some high yield savings accounts. You don't want to have every penny of yours in a stock investment. That's not great advice. There's hedging. So one way to hedge is to have one or more high yield savings accounts. Those are the ones that get you more than the 7 cents a decade that Wells Fargo offers. They give you a little bit more per year. Sometimes they're not able to access it. Maybe you might be doing a CD, a 3 month, 6 month, different options. And then you build with your long-term investments. So you find companies that have had very solid financials. You have their performance. You've gone through all their performances for 5, 10 years. You've done your research, and you know that this company is going to be around in 5 to 10 years, and it's going to continue to grow. I'm not going to give you picks to do that. We have all that in our group. You can do some of that research yourself. We have classes that we talk about all that as well. I don't want to use time today to go over how to do that. But long-term investments are huge because if all your money's in day trading, that can be gone in an instant. You still want to have that foundation of your long-term investments that are working, making money for you. One of the biggest things that you can enact and implement this year is to make sure every dollar that you have is working for you. There is no money laying around doing nothing. It needs to be working in some kind of way. So long-term investments give you that opportunity to have money invested, working for you, and it's going to be there for 10 years, 20 years, whatever that time frame looks like for you. Once you have all of that set up, once all of that is lined up, then you can work on additional streams of income. You're going to be putting money in a bag with holes in it if you don't have your credit right, if you don't have your debt right, and if you don't have your savings and long-term investments right. So in order to keep the money that you make from your additional streams of income, please have all this other stuff set up. And the reason this is being emphasized is because a lot of times on socials and on the internet, people make stuff look way too easy, way too soft. Investing in almost any form is risky, which is, again, why it's important to have all your foundational stuff set up, your debt gone, your credit right, your emergency fund set up, long-term investment set up, savings set up, and then you can get into those investment vehicles that, while they do provide more return on investment, they are riskier. So you want to make sure that your foundation is set first.